Thank you for meeting me, Father.
Of course. God's work never rests. So tell me, what is it that troubles you?
You've seen me in here all the time, right? You know I'm a faithful man. And yet I've been torn between an act of mortal sin and staying beholden to the Lord's commandments. You see, when I was a little boy, a woman shot my father right in front of me, killed him. I can still remember everything. Her face, her name, the way it was written on her mailbox, Forsyth. And it has come to my attention that sometime soon she's to return to town. And on top of that, she's made an appointment at my salon for me to cut her hair on a day when my coworkers will be absent. It'll just be the two of us. My faith has been all that's kept my rage in check over all these years, that and my family. And yet it seems to me that God is presenting me this opportunity to exact my vengeance upon her. What should I do, Father?
This is quite the conflict, my son. Yet you must remember Romans 12:19. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. This is written many times in our scriptures. Just remember, wrath is God's. He created you and I to save lives, not take them. Perhaps this is a way for him to test your faith.
Yes.
Not a way for you to act in his place.
And so it is. I will try and remember this in my inevitable moment of weakness. Thank you, Father. Hasta domingo. Alright, I have to go to work right now. See you guys later.
Papa, wait! Last week, you said that you would fix my Linda. You promised, remember?
Recita. Tell you what, since I promised, why don't I drop by the Mercado after work today, alright?
Please save her.
Ay, mi amor, I'll save her. I'll put her right on the shelf, right above my door. That way, she'll be the last thing I see when I leave work, alright? Alright. Hasta luego.
Evening, Your Honor. Evening, Colonel Forsyth.
Colonel Forsyth, good evening. So nice to see you again. You're a little early for your appointment.
Is my punctuality a problem, boy?
Never. And for the looks of things, the judge here's tone isn't taking as long to perfect as I thought it would. Let me just finish up with this and I'll get right to you.
Yeah, all right. Man, Your Honor, fancy seeing you here, huh? We were just at the convention together.
Strange coincidence, huh?
God works in mysterious ways. Say, what did you think about my performance? I'd like some feedback.
Sure. I think you touched on some valid points. Violent and drug-related crimes committed by illegal immigrants are an enormous concern. In addition, the economy does take a hit when undocumented workers steal jobs from legal citizens, and the inherent tax evasions hurt America. However, and I mean this with all due respect, you need to be careful about stereotyping and overgeneralizing. I think that your opinion that Mexicans are predispositioned towards violence because of their history is inaccurate and potentially offensive. The same goes for your view that amnesty is not a solution to the problem because it would potentially upset the class structure of America. I honestly don't understand that. Care to elaborate?
Sure. In fact, I can explain both issues. First, the ethnicity situation. I was merely trying to point out that allowing illegal immigrants to obtain the same right as naturalized Americans without due process will threaten the class dynamically. Basically, it's not usually the first-class generation that succeeds, or the up-and-comers, or even the second of that matter. They work in menial jobs. By the time the other generations are in a secure enough position to attempt at middle or upper-class jobs, the earlier generations have died. But so have a decent amount of original Americans from the same class. So that all recycles. And as more illegals come over, so the process continues. However, allowing them the same right might as well change their mindset, and rather than sticking their lower class jobs, they or their children may aspire towards higher jobs and overpopulate higher classes. I'm not saying they're a problem with Mexicans. I don't mind them, as long as they know their place.
That seems a slippery slope to me.
How? I'm telling you that as of now, the Mexican does know his place. Most of them are fine. Hell, it's better than what they had in Juarez or Guadalajara, whatever they come from. We just don't want them to change their mindset.
Agree to disagree. And this notion about violence.
I'm glad you brought that up. In fact, let me tell you a little story that demonstrates how violent a Mexican is inherently and how dangerous it is for him to act out of his place. And then give you a little demonstration of how good a Mexican knows his place. It was early May, maybe about 20 years ago. There was this Mexican family who lived across the way from me, who I'd never really met before, thank God. And I don't know how the father of the family got the money he did. Rather suspicious if you ask me. You see, he just come over from somewhere in Mexico or Spain, whatever, and rented the house. In fact, judging by the amount of mariachi music and the smells that ooze, you know, beans and rice, you know the smell, I suspect he was a border hopper. Anyways, there I was, about to go to the range, you know, to keep my skills sharp in case I was asked to return to the duty. And on some point, of course, now I know that the gun wasn't even real. But at the time, I thought it was a real threat. I mean, what was I supposed to think? I heard them running around yelling in their Spanish and it sounded like gunshots. It was a reaction. Thankfully, when I was brought to a court, the judge saw it was a huge mistake. He thought my training may have influenced me to act quicker than normal and caused me to be able to assess the situation properly. He let me off. Now think of it this way. Had the Mexican not been making play out of violence, this wouldn't have happened. That's my point about their predisposition to violence. It's a perfect analogy of them not knowing what their place is. How do I know that they don't know their place? Because I can name a Mexican that knows his place in America. That's this boy right here cutting my hair. He's a hairstylist.
There he is, the man that killed your father. You can do it now. You've got the tools.
Vengeance is the Lord's.
Ay, puta, no. Today, it belongs to you. Be a man, Ese.
What about my family?
What about your family? What about your father? Wasn't he your family? Didn't he bear the boy that watched him die that day? He died for you, just like this Lord of yours. Come on, time to be a man. Vengeance is yours. Or did you forget?
No.
I said, isn't that right, boy?
I don't want to talk about it. Besides, your haircut is Spanish, and I hate to rush you, but I really gotta be going.
Well done. And so you see, Judge, that's how the Mexican knows his place. A real American's pride would have caused him to exact revenge upon a man who murdered his father, presented an opportunity such as this. He holds himself to a standard that would permit himself to act upon his pride. Now the Mexican, on the other hand, he knows he is inferior to the American. He always abides by the American law because he is eager to prove himself as an American citizen, that he forgets where he stands as a person. That pride does not exist because he does not possess the nature that would allow it. And that's how I know my points are valid. Agree to disagree, Your Honor. Pleasure to meet you.
Please save her.
What you have just seen is a modern adaptation of CW Chesnutt's short story, The Doll. The Doll was written in the early 1900s and depicts the struggles African Americans faced with integration after the Civil War. It touches on themes of racism, revenge, and familial love. These themes are prevalent throughout much of American literature and theater culture, and also exist in our adaptation.
Though many of the plot level elements are the same, one way in which our adaptation is unique is its ties to the Mexican-American Chicano theater. Specifically, we borrowed the concept of Pachuco, the character from Luis Valdez's Zoot Suit. The Pachuco is essentially a loudmouth Chicano who basically confirms American stereotypes about Mexicans through the way he acts and dresses, and does so proudly. Valdez's Pachuco, played by Edward James Olmos, is very much the double of Henry Reyna's shoulder in the way that our Pachuco, played by me, is for our hairstylist. We hope you enjoy our version of The Doll.
Oh, life is bigger. It's bigger than you.